breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
Welcome in, Hoist the Colors on a Monday, a new week. It is January 6th, 2025. The NFL playoffs are set. We will get into that. East Carolina's transfer haul with the upcoming football season is starting to really come together. We'll get into that as well. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. If you've got a question, a comment, a concern, drop it in the chat. Preferably on YouTube, as that's what we follow the most. And by the way, give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube, 94.3 The Game. Our subscription numbers continue to go up after starting that page when we launched the show. Also, like us on Facebook. We're following that as well. And give us a follow, 943 The Game on Twitter, as well as HTC 247 on Twitter. All right, it is a Monday. We'll keep calling it Reaction Monday. We've got Philip Pilkington producing. We've got the Joey Football at his home studio, living the life as a New York Jets fan after a big win this weekend. Joey Football, how's it going? How's your playoff matchup looking for the New York Jets this postseason?
You know, it's phenomenal. I got to say, we now have more wins in the last 25 years in the playoffs than the Miami Dolphins. So that's a huge thing to take with you into an offseason where Lord knows who their quarterback's going to be the same way as we do. Is Tua going to give it up? Are they going to maintain McDaniels, even though they've said in a statement they're going to keep him? It's the Dolphins. We all know how that goes. Brian Flores went 9-8. Didn't make the playoffs, and the next year McDaniels goes 9-8, and people are holding him up like he's an heir apparent to Don Shula himself. So a lot of things that are going to happen and transpire in this offseason. I'm more worried about the fact that Gerard Mayo is out officially in New England. That is going to be a large shakeup for a lot of teams for a number of reasons. And as we get later into something that you guys don't have to worry about this year for once, in the coaching carousel, we'll track closely.
Looking forward to it, man. Obviously, Black Monday. I guess Black Sunday in Gerard Mayo's case, where he got fired basically right after the game. Pretty shocking news there. We'll get into all that in the offseason in the week to come. Philip Pilkington, congrats on your Panthers winning a season finale. It may have hurt the draft cycle a little bit, but the future is here, and his name is Bryce Young.
It is, yeah. It was, it was good to see the team fight like that, go out there, win a game, have the offense win a shootout-style football game. That's good for the confidence of the quarterback, confidence of a running back that you signed to a ridiculous 4-year contract who hasn't done crap in his first 2 years, and confidence to some young wide receivers, one of which was undrafted. Tough thing, 2 picks is what it is. What really ticks me off is that we passed the Saints in the standings. So now next year, instead of going to Chicago, who we don't know how good they're going to be, you go to Lambeau. Green Bay will be a good football team. And instead of hosting the New York Giants, who are probably going to be equally as crappy as they were this year, you now have to host the Dallas Cowboys, who will have a much better season most likely than they did this past year. Also, it's 3 straight years hosting the Cowboys. Kind of weird how that worked out. And then for our 17th game, we're now going to go to Jacksonville instead of going to Tennessee. That doesn't really affect you much unless the NFL decides to send you to Europe and for some reason doesn't give you a bye coming back from London. So other than that, it was all good. The 2 picks is what it is at this point. You got to learn how to win football games when you're a young team, when you're a young head coach. First-year head coach, you like to see him win 2 of his last 3 contests. I think that is a good thing. We'll see what happens, but, hey, career game for Bryce Young. So congratulations to him. Congratulations to the offense. Defense, a lot to be desired. Of course, there were a lot of guys injured. No J.C. Horn, no Josie Jewell. Obviously, Derek Brown got hurt in the first half of the first game of the season. But, it's you got to still definitely have not found the replacement to Frankie Louvu and Jeremy Chin.
Big weekend, big finale for the Panthers. Big weekend for the Denver Broncos. They're heading back to the playoffs for the first time in a decade. We'll get into that. We'll have an NFL playoff segment later in the show. Of course, this is ECU-oriented show. We will start with Pirate Athletics. We're going to table our basketball discussion until at least next segment. We already have multiple comments about the state of that program. Disappointing loss. Hard-fought game. Got to give the guys credit. They fought their tails off. Just, again, shot making is a difficult task right now. But We're going to start with football. Big weekend for the Pirates on the transfer portal front. East Carolina lands a cornerback, Key Kroll, from the University of Indianapolis, who was a true freshman last year. He got 5 interceptions. To give you guys a rundown, I'll do that here, but he joins former commit, who's currently still committed, but committed a few weeks ago, Jordy Lowry from Western Carolina, an FCS All-American. Those 2 guys projected to play corner. Of course, we've talked a lot about the corners that are leaving the program. We'll expect those 2 guys to come in, compete for immediate playing time. Pirates also add an edge rusher, Kendrick Dujour, out of Sam Houston State. 7.5 sacks the last 2 seasons between North Carolina Central, where he had 4. Last year at Sam Houston had 3.5, 6'5", 225. He'll play probably a stand-up outside linebacker position. He committed yesterday. And then the return of Xavier McIver, originally a member of the 2020 ECU football class, played with the Pirates for 4 years through 2023. Went to Tennessee Martin last year, played some nose tackle, along with their starting nose tackle, who was their highest graded player per Pro Football Focus, one of their seniors, but is back now to help out the defensive line. So here's a rundown, and we'll get into kind of our thoughts on this class as a whole right now. The Pirates have 12 incoming transfer portal players. In addition to that, they've got 2 junior college players who are signed that are expected to be in mid-year. Running back DeJuan Lacey from Garden City, also offensive lineman Levi Samia, not sure on the pronunciation on that, coming from the California JUCO, interior guard. So now the group consists of those 2 guys, Crowell at corner, Xavier McIver, defensive line, Ryan Roseborough, Greenville native from Towson, defensive line, 6'2", 300, Justin Benton, Houston transfer, 6'1", 290, another interior defensive lineman. Pirates added, of course, 2 transfer offensive linemen in addition to the JUCO, Kyle Long from Maryland, also Cooper Trevnaski from Newberry College. We mentioned the return of a Pirate, Xavier McIver. Tegan Wilk will be back, also from the University of Houston. We'll actually have Tegan Wilk on the show tomorrow in studio, so tune in for that. We'll get Tegan's take on this class as well. And one of his other teammates comes from Houston who committed over the weekend, Parker Jenkins, a running back from the University of Houston. He'll join Lacey as an incoming member to the class. Jaquez Petaway, slot receiver from Oklahoma, and Tristan O'Brien, long snapper from Indiana State. So the Pirates have filled a lot of needs here. Of course, the development of the roster going forward, the incoming roster will be critical. But, Joe, a lot of needs filled, specifically in the trenches and in the defensive backfield along with the running back room. What stands out to you about this class right now?
Immediate admittance of faults as far as roster goes. Look, everybody could have pointed fingers and said, okay, we'll get a corner and we'll develop him and we'll figure that out as we need to. Harold said from day one, he said, no, we're going to handle this. We're going to do what we got to do. We're going to rebuild. We're going to reload instead of rebuild, actually, is a better way of putting it. And that's exactly what he did. You go and get these guys who've played a lot of football, you heady guys who have seen a lot of different things, understand a lot of different offenses. And the part that a lot of people don't necessarily understand is when you get to those lower conferences like the D2s and the FCS, is those offenses are a lot more gimmicky. And not to say that it's immediately going to help against a transfer or help a transfer in these kinds of offenses when you face a Navy and an Army twice. But those are types of things that you do think about. And obviously next year it's not the same kind of run it is, but those are things that you have to think about in the development of your younger players when you have older guys who've seen this and can kind of give those tips. Great move there to understand that and go get corners. I would have loved to see a big receiver. The slot was an immediate need, obviously, with Spalding coming off injury now and Winston Wright Jr. moving on for a chance to go to the NFL. You didn't have that true guy you needed in the slot, so you had to go get Petaway, but I'd love to see a big physical receiver to replace that X position like Sowell was prior to him transferring. That's really the only thing I have left. I love the Justin Benton pickup. Physical guy, played really good football in the run in the trenches at Houston against a lot of very good teams that ran the football. Kyle Long is probably my favorite move so far of the class. I mean, 6'6", 300-something pounds, a lot of length at tackle. You can't teach size. He moves his feet exceptionally well, and I think he'll be a great spot on the blind side for Caden Hauser.
All right, so Joe, the Xavier McIver returning. We talked about Tegan Wilk with you. Look, you were teammates with both these guys. I got asked an interesting question this morning in the VIP chat. Quick plug, by the way. You mentioned a big physical receiver would be nice to add. Pirates have a former 4-star recruit, 6'3" receiver, visiting today from the SEC. So if you want that scoop, check us out, hoistthecolors.net. But Xavier McIver coming back. Somebody asked me if Mike Houston was still the head coach, would these players be coming back? I thought it was a good question. We know Coach Houston, at least in terms of outgoing players who were leaving the team that season, would not really allow them to come back. This is kind of different. So your thoughts on that and just the overall return of Xavier McIver?
First off, excited for Big X, as we call him, Zay. He might talk more trash than Deontay Johnson, and that is a hard task to do. So that's the fire you need right there to replace that kind of senior leadership on the D-line, and him and Lampley get along really well too. So right there's your core going into the next year on how you're going to kind of mold these guys and bring everybody back into the fold of the mud, as they call it. That was a huge thing. He knows the program. He knows the expectation. A lot of times when you bring in these transfers, you kind of have to set an expectation if they come from a bigger school or from a smaller school, like here's how we do things, here's our culture, this is why we do those things. And you're really going to start to do that now in the offseason in the first year of Coach Harrell, because he's going to want to do a couple things differently than Coach Houston. Every head coach does. There's no fault about it. To ask if, first off, the thing I have to say is this is completely unprecedented anyway. It is extremely rare, almost impossible for a player to come back in their fifth year to the same school. But now with the transfer portal, this seems to be something that can be of that kind of caliber. So that's the first thing. If it a hypothetical, maybe I would say, I don't think there was ever any bad blood between McIver and Teagan. McIver was actually just kind of told, like, look, there's only so many plates at the table. Some people have to go to the kitchen. And that's why he hit the portal. He had to go somewhere else for his opportunity to kind of excel and do what he needed to do, because there was so much talent in that room. And that's the story for a lot of guys. Teagan Wilk, I think, was told he was a little too short to play Power 5 coming out of high school, and now Power 4, as we call it, went and did that in the Big 12, and now he wants to come home to Greenville, where he had a successful career and knows the culture and can be that veteran guy to kind of push off the Coach Harrell era.
Philip, what's your take on the portal class as a whole? I know you've been following it somewhat, and then also the return of these guys, McIver and Teagan, as guys who at least know what to expect coming in.
Yeah, so starting with the returners, obviously this will not be a Blake Harrell coached defense anymore. We know that. So there will be some difference, but they still know the culture of Pirate football, which is good. And one of the big things is with McIver coming back in on the defensive line. When you lose as many guys as they did, you worried about things like continuity. You worry about things just, Coach Tesh talking about how he never really had to address anything, because once he would go to address it, he realized that the players had already done so, and that he would just be repeating what Big Tay or what Surratt or someone already said. So bringing someone back in like that could definitely be big. As for the class as a whole, it seems that we have gotten a decent amount of positions of need. I would still like to see maybe some more guys at corner. I think there's some young guys, some redshirt guys that are going to come up and step up, maybe names that we don't see a lot, but still it'd be nice to have a veteran guy, a guy who's played a little bit more at the Division I, preferably FBS level at the cornerback position, to come in and just kind of fill that room in a little bit more, just because the college football game is so much more complex. And when you're a scout team guy, you're not always in those meetings. You're not always, learning all the terminology. Yeah, you get stuff thrown at you in camp and in spring ball, but you're not in it as much throughout the season. So just having someone in there, and even if it's somebody who maybe doesn't step in and play, maybe just somebody to kind of mentor some of these younger guys who are in more of the scout team meetings a year ago than, just your everyday meetings.
Pirates, again, with 12 transfer portal commitments, also 2 JUCO players committed. So to give an idea of this coming week, what to expect. So right now the coaches are on the road. High school recruiting really starts today in terms of coaches being able to go on the road. You've seen a lot of posts. Today is the first day of the contact period in January where they can go on the road, meet with the coaches the high school coaches in person, see players in person. And so they're doing some high school recruiting. In addition to that, they're going to be hosting some visits throughout this week. This is the last week, really, to get players on campus for visits and get them into school. The semester starts next Monday. Now, they can still get guys in late, probably towards the end of last week. But as far as your roster going into spring practice, this is kind of really the last week to get some real recruiting done, get those guys into school. So you'll probably see, a handful of guys visit this week and some final decisions made then. Then the portal will reopen after the spring and have a chance to continue to add them. But I like what ECU's done. And Joe, like for me, yeah, it'd be nice to go out and land all these big names from the SEC and, you know, all conference guys from the Sun Belt or whatever. But like ECU just doesn't have the funds for that. And so I kind of like where they're going where, okay, not every guy you land from the FCS or not every guy you land from Division II is going to work out. But you have to take some of those diamonds in the rough. Most guys that can dominate that level can play at the FBS level. And then maybe take some guys, too, coming down and marry that together. I think if you just take one of each pile or basically all from each pile, you can kind of end up hurting yourself. But I think if you're pulling from guys from the Power Four theoretically coming down and you're pulling from guys transferring up, I think you have a chance to kind of find the right formula. What's your take on the kind of the recruiting method they're doing there?
I agree with it completely. This is not the type of school, and this is no shot. I mean, this is just how the new way of the world has to work. You're not going to have the same money as SMU. You're not going to have the same money as an Oregon. You're not going to have the same money as an Ohio State, who's spending over, I think it was $3.5 million this year on their roster alone. That's not how you're going to live in this new age. You kind of have to be, I don't want to say the minor leagues, it's not the right terminology for it, but you got to go be the band of misfits. You got to go get the guys that didn't necessarily get a chance. You got to go marry those guys, like you said, with the guys who are looking for their chance. You need hungry players. You need gritty guys who aren't afraid to go do the dirty kind of stuff. Like a lot of players these days want to, I need my guarantee. I need a car. I need housing and blah, blah, blah. I need a guarantee I'm playing on third down. Blake Carroll is not going to do that. I'll tell you that first and foremost. It's not how that conversation goes in the meeting room. It's what can you do for the team? How can you help us succeed? And he's looking for team guys. He's not looking for a bunch of me guys. He's looking for a bunch of team guys. So obviously that's coach speak. Everybody's going to say, well, everybody could say that, but that's truly what it's about. These are all guys, especially McIver, especially Tegan Wilk, who had lesser roles when they came in, even though they were large recruits at the time. Tegan Wilk, I remember my junior year, was a third team safety, and I was blocking him, and I was like, hey, you shouldn't be down here on this field. You should be up there. And he worked his way up, and all of a sudden he's a starter, and he did great things. The same with Xavier McIver when we were rotating when I was at D-line all those years ago. Those are the types of guys. Those are team-first guys who have that mentality. I think this is the right way to do it. Obviously, Katenhauser was the exception, not the rule last year, that you go get a big Power 5 transfer who was looking for a home for multiple years, and I'm so happy he came back as a Pirate. But I think that's kind of where you have to live. You have to live in almost this FCS and above level, and then the D1 trickle down.
All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We just had a former Pirate outgoing transfer commit to a new school, basically confirming tampering. We'll touch on that on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors on a Monday.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast, Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Here there be pirates. Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo. How good is this? On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Monday. Again, we just talked ECU transfer portal with Joe Sampson and Philip Pilkington. You can get more scoop online, hoistthecolors.net. We'll continue to break down this recruiting class all off-season. And also, a big recruit scheduled to visit today. We got the latest on hoistthecolors.net. VIP subscribers can read that now. We always are running a 30% off special at all times for new subscribers. All right, guys. A little tampering. Not a surprise. And college football is what it is. But Gavin Gibson has officially committed to North Carolina. That broken by Inside Carolina, part of the 24/7 Sports Network this morning. Former ECU starting nickel. This is what Blake Harrell alluded to after the Military Bowl. Again, I don't blame Gavin Gibson. He came as a transfer from Maryland, did really well at ECU. Now he gets to cash in on his success. I blame the system, the lack of structure, the fact that the NCAA college football has no governance. And so basically North Carolina reached out to Gavin Gibson for the bowl game, told him to enter the portal, we'll pay you. He visits there, he commits there. Again, I'm not mad at Gavin Gibson. I'm mad at the whole process of this. But basically just confirming what Blake Harrell said after the game. North Carolina, he didn't say it word for word, but he said there's a school up the road that won't schedule us, but they'll take our players. How about we put them on the schedule too? So, Joe, what do we have to do to put the Tar Heels on the schedule now?
I don't know, because I think we're, 2,437 days that is since Carolina beat us last, so that's a fun one. Obviously, they're still kind of scared of that one. I would love nothing more than to see Bill Belichick stand there with the grimace on his face of somebody who stole his lunch money and the sidelines of Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium as he hears us sing Living on a Prayer as we go up 2 touchdowns and just have to see him go. But no, that's not what he wants to do. There's no rules. There's no guardrails. Look, that's why all of a sudden the SEC is so even, is because all the Hellcats the players were getting 5 years ago are going to everybody else now. You don't have 5 stars sitting on your bench anymore. You got to go and find talent and develop it and build yourself back up. That's why all these big-time schools, all of a sudden the games got so close. And Arizona State, who didn't deserve to be there, according to many people. Yeah, that's right. I listened to it all. Yeah, what happened to that one? Cam Scataboo. That's what happened. You got guys who were hungry, ready to fight, and it's the same thing for ECU. Guys were hungry, ready to fight, and ready to go to war over something that was a Super Bowl, and NC State decided to come out there and treat it like it was a scrimmage. So until the ACC decides that they want to play football past the month of December, this is what's going to happen. You're going to try and take players who give a damn.
Past the month of December, hell, their champion wasn't even ranked in the top 12.
They
didn't play football at all. SMU and Miami were the only ones who, and they're not even historic ACC schools.
They're not even ACC teams.
Yeah, they even considered playing football for the first 3 months of the damn season. I mean,
South Carolina
it's a joke.
is literally the ACC champion for winning the last week against Clemson. And then Clemson stole one against SMU, who did this 25 years ago, might I add, and got the death penalty. But hey, revisionist history, everybody wants to be the good guy in the history books.
Look, I agree with what Igo said. I'm mad at the system, mad at the NCAA, but there's one more person I'm mad at, and it's those cheating turds down the road in Chapel Hill, because that's what they are, a bunch of cheating turds.
Chapel Bill.
Bill Belichick stealing ECU players already.
And I think he was stealing UConn players.
He probably was.
I think that's who Jim Mora was. I don't think he was only talking about Carolina, but there was a little dig in there, and I like Jim Mora, even though I grew up kind of disliking him because he was a Falcons head coach, and I hate the Dirty Birds, but I like Mora. He's gritty.
Look, Gavin Gibson's a good player. I just find it a little funny. Bill Belichick, one of the first big moves he does in the portal is steal ECU's nickel corner. But, hey, more power to him. And, again, I hope Gavin Gibson has success. He seemed – and I give him credit for playing in the bowl game. He could have easily – with this basically being worked out, he could have easily not played. And he had a sack. He had a big play in the bowl game. Mm-hmm. So, look, I don't hate Gavin Gibson or the decision he made. I hate the system right now.
Yeah, he could have easily set out like someone else who was preparing for the draft.
Yeah. But hey, it allowed Jari Patterson to make more plays at least.
J-Pat.
I do love Jari.
Wave to the fans.
Jansen Kidd says, I fully believe there needs to be a rule where players cannot transfer within conference or state. If they really want to go, they must sit out a year. I mean,
we had that rule.
Yeah, we had all those rules.
We had a rule about this. We had one free transfer, and then you had to sit out a year or your head coach had to sign off. We had this rule. But no, nobody wanted to do that because why would the players have to follow anything if the coaches can leave in the middle of the night? That's the problem. There's no buyout for the player.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of contract, and hopefully with the House settlement and all this, it becomes more restricted or something in future years. It's just, again, not sustainable. All right, speaking of not sustainable, ECU.
Tough transition.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whack of a lead in there, Mike.
Dang, dude.
ECU basketball cannot sustain. They can sustain losing streaks. They can't sustain success, unfortunately. The Pirates lose for the 6th time in the last 7 games. Again, I give them credit, guys. You get down, 15-2, 17-2, whatever it was.
17-2, yeah.
And I thought the game was over at that point. So they battled back, still can't shoot the ball, but they battled all night on the boards. They out-rebound FAU 49-32. Johnny Stats has some stats here. Johnny Robertson says, thanks to a 25-6 offensive rebound advantage, ECU shot 16 more free throws and 18 more field goal attempts than FAU last night. But their inept shooting once again doomed the Pirates. Johnny Robertson with that comment, and he is dead on it. Owls win 78-76 inside Minji's Coliseum. FAU shot 50% from 3. ECU shot 26% from 3. ECU shot 52% from the line. Phillip, we were up in the you can't even call it the press box, the press row up in 213, Crow's Nest.
Yep.
Just another frustrating ECU hoops experience.
You know, the tough thing is this team has really shot free throws better this year than they have for the better part of the last half decade, and then it finally kind of goes cold the other night. But, you know, the one part about it that was not frustrating is you get down 17-2 and you fight back. They were down big. They were down 20 in the second half midweek against South Florida. They fought back, almost won that game. Coach Schwartz, in his entire time here, knows how to light a fire under their rear end after a tough start, and that has been very consistent under him. That part, not frustrating at all. The frustrating part, though, like I said, the weird thing is the record book, because we were trying to look up what the record was for most offensive rebounds in a game by a Pirate team, and we could not find it. So I don't know what it is, but they had 25 offensive rebounds to 24 defensive rebounds.
It's insane.
You know, they worked their rear end off and then, you know, kind of have nothing to show. I shouldn't say have nothing to show for it, but you lose the basketball game, and that's how you're judged, right? Wins and losses. And, yeah, I mean, it's just you get a couple good looks at the end. Neither one of them fall. I wish Farrell would have tried to, you know, put the one back up when he caught it on the left low block instead of another kick-out 3, especially being only down 2. But, I mean, we sound like broken records. You got to be able to shoot in the year 2025 to win college basketball games. This ain't
correct.
This ain't feed the low. You know, if you had Dalton Connect on your roster, if you had Armando Baycott on your roster, okay, maybe you don't have to, but you don't. Sierra Malonga, Cal Richard, and Reed Kaysen are not prolific low block scorers. They can't catch the ball with their back turned to the basket and, you know, fake spin move one way, pivot the other, and hit a fadeaway. They just can't. And that's fine. But if that's the case, you got to be able to shoot the ball.
There are 355 college basketball teams at the Division I level. East Carolina ranks 347th in three-point shooting percentage out of 355 teams. So, Joe, I mean, like for me, ECU is a good basketball team outside of shooting the three ball and defending the three, which is obviously two glaring problems. And unfortunately, there's no easy fix for that in season. So you kind of are what you are at this point.
You are what you are. This isn't 1984 anymore. The three-point line is a part of the game, and it's a big part of the game. You can't be a team that lives and dies by the three. I understand that. But you can't be a team that dies because you can't shoot a three. If you look at it over the last few games, I mean, you got to get Felton going. If Felton has over 19 points, usually it's a pretty successful night, and all of a sudden now he's coming off the bench, and there are reasons beyond that. But that's got to be a reason for it. You're trying to get a spark on the second unit. I understand. I hate the amount of shots we are shooting from the elbow. We are not trying to spread the ball out enough. We're not going for that secondary pass to try and get the guy in the wing or in the corner for that matter, especially with the way that Schwartz tries to run this offense. The team is built on defense, and I get that, but you can't be a team built on defense and let up 76 points or 78 points or 74 points. That's not how you're going to win basketball games in the year of our Lord 2025. If you want to be a defensive team, you need to understand that, control the tempo, control the pace. Stop trying to score with 13 seconds left on the shot clock. Hold it down. Try and eat some clock. Try and do what Virginia has been doing for years before Tony Bennett retired. That's them right now. Nobody wants to hear it. If you want fun basketball, that's one thing. If you want to win basketball games, play to the strength of your team, eat some clock, and treat it like it's a 4-minute offense and score as little as possible while stopping as much as you can.
Igo, do you like the zone?
That ECU has gone to?
Yes.
I mean, they can't guard the ball consistently. So,
No.
and I was having a conversation with somebody last night who basically said part of the reason they've gone to the zone, especially against teams like FAU, is to, you're going to give up some open threes in a zone, obviously, if you pass the ball around enough. But it makes it harder to get off clean looks. So, basically, part of the reason they've gone to this is to slow an up-tempo team like FAU down and not maybe force – like FAU still shot 50% from three, which isn't great. But they only were able to get off 23-point shots. If you look at their numbers, that actually is less than what they want to do. So you at least limit their three-point opportunities. Is it a perfect fix? No. I think Mike Schwartz would prefer to be able to play man-to-man. But right now they give up too much penetration playing man-to-man. So I don't love it, but I do give them credit for trying something different. I don't know. What's your take on the zone?
I like it. I've been actually calling for more of it just because of what you said. I think that, if you look at some of the times they've been down, how they've been able to put runs together, because they don't put runs together because they go out there and score 14 points in 2.5 minutes. They put runs together because they get multiple stops in a row.
Yeah.
Because they are a defensive-minded team, and it seems like usually that happens in the zone. I think the zone is more effective with the current roster than man is.
I agree with that. Johnny Robertson says, up in the crow's nest, could we hear FAU's bench chanting defense near the end of the game? I think so, but it wasn't loud enough for me to really notice.
It wasn't like watching a Winds game where you got to hear man up the whole freaking game.
Johnny adds that I've never seen a visiting team do that before. It was very loud. Johnny, where were you? Let us know.
Probably was in the lower level. I will say, credit to Pirate Nation.
Yeah, it was a good turnout for it.
It might have been part of the Rajay thing, but hey, if that's what it takes, let's have a player every game sign autographs. In this fall, post Christmas, we'll have football players and we'll have baseball players in the fall. Why not?
Keith Garrett says, given we got to get a break and we'll get this in quickly. Given we can't shoot threes, why kick the ball out at the end of the game? We didn't need a three to win. Couple things on this, Philip. You can point it or weigh in on it. Mike Schwartz made the point they were out of timeouts, so you can only do so much directing in that situation from the bench. It's kind of chaos. I thought they panicked a little bit. Didn't have a huge. I would rather see Felton take the runner there. He did make. He made a good pass though. Woodard was open in the corner. I don't hate that shot. I do not like the Jan Farrell miss or a rebound, kick it out to a retreating Woodard to shoot the last three. I wish he would have gone back up with it there. Philip, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. When you kicked out the first time, not only was it an open three, but you were in prime position to get an offensive rebound. They had no one else in the paint. You were almost guaranteed that offensive rebound. So, yeah, if you get a chance to win the game, take the three, especially if you know you're going to get a second chance. And they did, so I like it. After that, you just got to get to the rack. Hope you get fouled. Hope something happens. Usually refs don't call fouls that late in games, but, hey, I mean, Tar Heels got a call the other day against Notre Dame at the end of the game. So
Yeah, tough for RJ or Riley not to get a shot there in the paint. Yeah. Those are your two best paint scorers.
For sure.
Or at least get a look. All right, we got to get a break in. On the other side, gentlemen, we're talking NFL playoffs. We already have a Super Bowl prediction in the chat. We'll address that. We'll address more. On the other side, look at all the matchups. This is Hoist the Colors on a Monday.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo.
Drink up for me, Ozzy Show Ho.
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome in, Hoist the Colors. On a Monday, Reaction Monday, we talked ECU transfer portal haul earlier in segment 1. We talked tampering and ECU basketball in segment 2. And now we're going to talk NFL playoffs. By the way, you can always check out our show archived on Spotify and Apple Podcasts under 94.3 Hoist the Colors, the game. Hoist the Colors. Wait, what did I just say? 94.3 Hoist the Colors, the game. Wow. 94.3 The Game and Hoist the Colors. We are on 94.3 The Game, broadcasting live right now. Joseph Sampson, Philip Pilkington producing. Guys, we just had a comment in the chat that drew my attention. Bruce Willis says, Igo is a machine, Joey is a Yankee, Philip Pilkington is a mad scientist.
I appreciate it.
I like it.
I'll take it. I love Die Hard.
We've got more basketball comments. I'll just read them real quick. You make free throws. We win that game. Johnny Robertson adds he was in section 113, so he was at the game. Free throws, make them, you win. Free throws win ball games. Whoop. Used to be the chant they did. When is the baseball podcast coming back? Matt wants to know. Look for that towards the middle part to end of January, Matt. All right, guys. First off, I love when my team's in the playoffs. I can't help but smile.
Take your victory lap.
It's been a decade, guys. Look, the Broncos are going to get killed by the Bills. At least that's my expectation. But it's been 10 years. The Broncos had the longest streak ever, 9 seasons, after a Super Bowl victory of playoff-less football. It's been too long for a proud franchise. So the Denver Broncos, and I have a bone to pick with people saying the Broncos backed into the playoffs. Okay, the Chiefs sat their starters. That's great. All right, the Broncos put themselves in this position by beating the teams they should beat. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you want to whine about not making the playoffs, maybe don't lose to the Patriots. Maybe don't have the worst defense in the league. Maybe don't waste an all-time great season by Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase.
Should be the MVP.
Should be the MVP, but he's not even in the playoffs because the Bengals are a joke of an organization. I said it. The Broncos deserve to be in the playoffs. They are in the playoffs. Come fight me. All right, guys, the other thing I love, like looking at the weekend slate, wild card weekend, I got it pulled up, the TV times, everything. Playoff football. To me, like nothing beats wild card round. Divisional championship round are fun, but Joseph, I'm ready. Are you ready?
We have an electric slate next week. We get the college football playoff semifinal on Thursday, on Friday, and then we get wild card weekend.
Forgot about that.
What more could you ask for as a football fan? If my moniker wasn't Joey Football, I'd still say it and shout it from the rooftops. God blessed us with this great sport. And while, yes, I do have to watch your Broncos, who we were a field goal away from beating, but also they were a field goal away from beating the Chiefs in many different spots. So they're a very deserved playoff team. And a lot of people don't want to hear that because of the Taylor Swift voodoo black magic that has rained down upon Arrowhead this season between the Chargers and the Broncos at one point. But I'm not going to get into that right now. I don't want a hex put on me. I love playoff football. Even if your team has the slightest of chances, there's a chance that you can go on a run. The Jets did it in 2010, snuck in as a wild card team, knocked off the Patriots, not just because I'm a Jets fan. You've seen it happen in multiple situations. The Vikings were the Cinderella story that one year with what they call the miracle in Minneapolis with the Stephon Diggs touchdown from Case Keenum in a playoff game. The underdogs in the Eagles, who went on a run after Carson Wentz gets hurt and they win a Super Bowl against the big bad Patriots. How can you not love football? Yeah, you're romantic about baseball, but I think you fall in love with football in weeks like these. And that's what matters about this. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to take the Rams. They're my Cinderella team to make some noise in the playoffs this year. They're playing really good football in the back half of this year. And I think that Sean McVay is going to out-scheme a lot of different people, especially the Vikings. I just don't know if in that chess match, O'Connell has it for the playoffs. I just don't know, especially in that environment in LA with all those Viking fans screaming in SoFi because nobody's a Rams fan, if that's going to hurt them or help them.
The schedule for the weekend, and I'll get Philip's take on wild card weekend as well. So Chargers, Texans. You just knew the Texans had to be in that Saturday first wild card game.
That's got to be the slime time game, right? That's got to be the Nickelodeon one, right?
There's no other choice, right? 4:30 on CBS. When did they announce
they
the
would play
slime
on
time
Temu
game?
if they could. They would have put them on Temu if they could have.
I don't know when they announced it, but it's got to be that game. Come on, give it to that game.
Chargers, Texans, 4:30 CBS on Saturday, 8 p.m. Prime Video. Steelers, Ravens. I can already see Philip's face on Prime Video. Sunday slate, 1 p.m. Bills at Broncos, or Broncos at Bills, excuse me, at 1 p.m. on Sunday. Packers at Eagles, 4:30 on Fox. The nightcap on Sunday, Commanders at Buccaneers. Jaden Daniels in the playoffs for Washington. That's 8 o'clock on NBC. And then Monday, the game Joey Football is talking about Vikings at Rams, 8 p.m. ESPN/ABC. Philip, what intrigues you most about this slate?
I might be echoing Joe a little bit here. But that Rams-Vikings game, man.
I like it too.
Dom is going to cuss us out.
Cry.
But for saying it, but man, like, look, when Puka and Kupp both play, they've lost like 2 games or something. They're really a good football team. They looked good yesterday with their backups. And now, obviously, Garoppolo was their backup quarterbacks. Their backup quarterbacks played in the Super Bowl. But I don't know, man. Look, Jefferson is better than Puka and Kupp. But overall, Stafford has better weapons than Darnold. Stafford is a much better quarterback than Darnold.
Darnold looked rattled last night.
Yeah, he did.
I watched the Lions make him look like New York Jets.
And
Sam
that's
Darnold.
the
That's what that was.
Lions are playing third stringers at every defensive position except for safety.
Brandon Fisk, Jared Verse. I mean,
Yeah.
alone in the front seven, there's just so many opportunities to blow up the Vikings in the backfield.
Yeah,
terrifying.
I think the Rams might win. I don't know. I don't know if they will. But between the Monday night and the Sunday night game, those are my big two. I really like both those.
I love Baker in the playoffs.
Baker.
I live for it.
Let's do it.
For you guys, and Joe, you may have already said it with the Rams, but who is your the favorites to win the Super Bowl? Obviously, you got Kansas City and Detroit, and then in the AFC, most people are going to pick Buffalo, Baltimore. In the NFC, most people are going to pick Detroit or Philly. Outside of those obvious teams, Joe, who's your dark horse to make a run at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, dark horse is the Rams. I said, I think in the NFC, it's just the real only shot, so to speak, at a true dark horse. I mean, the Vikings are what, 13-3 or 13-4, I think it is.
14-3.
14-3.
14-3 as the number one wild card team. Yes, they are the 5 seed in theory. They're not a dark horse. This is like when Georgia tries to say they're the underdogs. You're not a dark horse. You're 14-3. Get over yourself. The Rams clawed back. They were not supposed to be this team. There was at one point conversations in the last 3 weeks of them getting eliminated in the playoffs. They find a way. I mean, especially in a division where the Cardinals looked great last night. Unfortunately for them that they don't make the playoffs. They hang 47 on the NFC defending champions. That's a ridiculous moniker in itself. I really like the Bills. It hurts to say, especially having seen the man play in person and dismantle the Jets in what was basically a gimme game. If we would have made a field goal to take the lead of the AFC East at least once in my lifetime. But I don't think there's any sleeper teams that really have a run in front of them. I'm sorry, Igo. It's just how it's got to go as far as ball goes. I think Bo Nix is too young. I think that Matt Collins looks like a number one receiver in Buffalo. The guy doesn't wear shoes, for God's sakes, in pregame, and they have him looking like he should get all of the money, and Amari Cooper is an afterthought at this point. I just don't see it as far as the Broncos in that situation. Chargers, Texans, I don't know. Whoever comes out of that is going to lose in the next round. Just carry it over. It's not really a conversation. Steelers, Ravens, Lamar Jackson has 4 interceptions this year, and if it wasn't for losing to the Raiders, they might have had a shot at the 2 seed early in the year. It's just how it goes. So I think the NFC is really the only one that's kind of where it is. But the age-old question, can you beat Mahomes in Arrowhead with voodoo black magic and the refs? And I don't think anyone can.
One quick thing about the Rams, though, Joe, remember, too, they were going to trade everybody at the deadline, right?
Correct.
The season was over,
Cooper
right?
Kupp was going to be a chief.
I know. And then they win, the last game before the deadline. Somebody, I think Seattle lost. Oh, okay, maybe we'll try. And here they are.
They beat the Vikings on Thursday night.
Yeah. I'm going to go, and they've beat the Bills. I'm telling you, Rams are not a bad team.
I'm all in on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
All 3 fans.
So they're a dark horse for me, but here's a crazy one because the AFC's good, but Herbert and Ladd McConkey. If they can go out, I don't think they will, but we all know the Chiefs are one of 3 teams who haven't scored 30 points all year. Could they win 31-28 in Kansas City? And then because of that, could the Ravens and Bills have beaten the hell out of each other the week before and be so exhausted? I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. But maybe.
I'm with you.
How poetic for Harbaugh to go to a Super Bowl with Justin Herbert in
after beating his brother in the NFC Championship game in Baltimore.
How poetic.
I'm with you, Philip, as much as it pains me to say. I think the Chargers are built for the playoffs. They've played pretty turnover-free ball all year. Good defense. I know their defense hasn't been great down the stretch, but Harbaugh he coaches for this time of year. Now they're still the Chargers, and they have to overcome that, and that's going to be difficult. But Herbert's playing some of the best ball. They're going into the playoffs with 3 straight wins. They had their little lull late in the year. Now playing some good ball. I think they're built for the playoffs. I don't know if they'll win, but they're my dark horse in the AFC. Let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll get Joey Football's Super Bowl pick, and we've got a question from Will about the potential return of Rex Ryan. We'll talk about that. This is Hoist the Colors on a Monday.
This holiday season, get the gift you really want at Greenville Toyota. It's our holiday trade-up. Drive a new Corolla, just $229 a month, or a new Tacoma, only $329 a month during the holiday trade-up at Greenville Toyota.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Hey, on the mountain we've got a saying. Get off your...
Show off.
Mountain Dew.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves Tiebreakers.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master. Unwrap a new Toyota for the holidays at Greenville Toyota. It's our holiday trade-up. Get a new Camry, $269 a month, or a new RAV4, $329 a month. Trade up and save at Greenville Toyota.
What's happening?
Tell me what's happening. Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Final segment here, Hoist the Colors. Got a couple minutes left. Joseph Sampson, Philip Pilkington with us. All right. Quickly, Will Landon wants to know, Joey, who is a Jets fan, what are your thoughts on the possible return of Rex Ryan?
Yeah, why not at this point? I mean, if we're just going to hold a coach who's got a career record of 46-50 for the New York Jets up as the heir apparent, yeah, tell you what, why don't we interview Jim Halsett, Sam Riddlegino, and Chuck Fairbanks while we're at it? Because clearly that's all we're doing is living in the past. I mean, if you want to do that, sure, have the conversation, sell the team, go back to Europe where you belong, Woody, and leave me to suffer for the 5 years until somebody else comes in with a pair and fires him like they should have done. Unless he comes back fat. If he wants to come back fat and go get a snack, maybe I'll listen, or maybe he'll go to the bar and lick his wife's feet and talk about all the times he used Brad Smith as a Swiss Army knife when we couldn't run the ball.
All right, Mark Sanchez, can he come back too?
No.
Hey, look.
Only Rex.
Only one franchise quarterback per millennium.
So, listen, here's the thing. Getting someone slightly below 500 is the most Jets thing ever. The greatest quarterback in Jets history had a final career winning percentage of just below 50. Joe Namath is 62 and 63 as the starting quarterback.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just saying.
Have you seen footage of when they used to play football, Philip? Have you seen the field? I don't want to hear it. Okay. I've seen high school fields that look like they're in better shape than the professional league at that time.
I'm not bagging on Joe. I'm just saying that is the Jets.
He ran around. He had shoulder pads, and he threw the ball 12 yards, so he had a great arm. I don't want to hear it, okay? If Joe Namath saw the offense that they're running in Minnesota right now, he would have an aneurysm because of the motion set with a double move on the backside, slide protection with a deep in. He'd be like, oh, I'm going to throw this check down because he's open. No.
Well, every quarterback from there. What are we going to sit here and bag on Johnny
Lombardi
Unitas, Don Meredith, Earl Morrow, and every other?
Would have a heart attack trying to stop these football teams.
They would, yeah. So we can't even compare that. I'm just saying slightly below 500 is Jets football.
Cool.
30
so go
seconds.
get Lovie Smith then or Jack Del Rio, whatever you want to do at this point. Bruce Arians, why not? Try and get him out of retirement at 80 and 48.
Go ahead, Igo. We took over your show.
20 seconds. Give me a Super Bowl pick.
Joe, go.
I'm going to go with Bills-Eagles.
Who wins it?
Pains me to say the Eagles. I think Saquon's too good of a back. I don't think anybody can match him.
All right, we had to get it because we won't hear you or hear from you. We'll hear you somewhere, but we won't hear from you on this show.
We'll hear him all right.
On this particular show until after the playoffs start. So appreciate it. He's in with Eagles over Bills. Philip and I will give our Super Bowl predictions on Friday with Bobby Harvard. Philip, Joe, appreciate you guys for talking and letting me just watch.
Bet I know who Bobby's going to pick. Go Birds.
There's no doubt he's going to go left hand up, Commanders. We got to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. Tegan Wilk in studio. This has been Hoist the Color.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcast.